Hey, what's up everyone? Here's my review for Fright Night, the new horror vampire remake to come out this year. I'm going to talk about it. Let's talk about the story. The story in this film. The story in Fright Night starts off with a character named Charlie, who is played by Anton Yelchin, who is a high schooler. You know, he's just an average high schooler. He has a hot girlfriend. He's just a regular guy, has some regular friends. You know, he used to be a nerd, but now he's just a regular guy. And one day, just out of nowhere, people just start disappearing, really, and they don't, no one knows why. They're just thinking, you know, it's just, you know, they're not coming to school, you know, it's high school. No one goes to high school anymore. Freaking lame. And then, of course, McLovin's character, yeah, McLovin's in this movie, alright. McLovin tells Charlie, Anton Yelchin's character, that, yo, your next door neighbor, he's a vampire, and that's the reason why everybody's disappearing, because he's getting hungry and he's just eating all these people. And he's like, you're crazy. He meets Jerry. He's kind of weird. He finds out later on that he actually is a vampire. That's not a surprise, not a spoiler at all. It's right in the trailer. And that's really the story. He pretty much has to stop this vampire from hurting all of his family. He comes into this, well, he comes in contact with this guy who is like a big vampire hunter kind of guy. He has a big TV show and stuff, and he gets his help to go and hunt vampires and stuff, and that's really the story of Fright Night. It's a really good story. The reason why I really like the story is because two things. The characters and the setting. The setting, at least most of the time, is just set in a suburb, which is really cool, just a cul-de-sac, and that's a really cool setting for a horror film, to me at least. You know, just a whole bunch of houses together in just out of just nowhere, pretty much, and that's awesome. I actually really like that. And also, of course, you have the characters. The characters are actually really likable. Definitely Colin Farrell as the vampire. I forgot to mention that. Jerry. He's great. Okay, but before I talk more about the acting, let's go on to the acting. Oh, I forgot. Let me give the score for the story. I'm going to give the story an 8 out of 10. Let's talk about the acting now. The acting, Anton Yelchin, who is the main star, I would say, he's good. I think Anton Yelchin's one of those guys that many people don't really know. He's been in many movies. He was just in that movie The Beaver. He was in Star Trek, of course. He was in something else. But he's always a good actor. I always think he's good in this. He's never bad in films. He was good. He was just really good. You really like this character. He was good. I don't know what else to say. He does a good job. You know, Colin Farrell is badass in this film. This summer, Colin Farrell has proved that he can be funny and he can be badass still. Colin Farrell's badass in this. He was funny in Horrible Bosses. Colin Farrell, you're coming back, man. That's good. I always liked you, Colin. All right, call me. Don't call me. I don't like you anymore. But that doesn't make any sense. I don't know Colin Farrell. He doesn't know me. Anyway, he's great. Toni Collette plays Anton Yelchin's character's mom. She does good. McLovin, of course, is McLovin, so he actually does a really good job. He always does. You know, he's McLovin. He has to be good. And this girl that plays Charlie's girlfriend, or Anton Yelchin's character's girlfriend, her last name is Poots, but everybody's making fun of her for that, so I'm just going to leave that. That's her real last name, and as an actress, that's her last name, Poots. I can't remember her first name. She did a good job, but her last name is Poots, so screw her. She's hot, but I can't look at her anymore. Anyway, there you go, there's the acting. I thought the acting overall was really good. I'm going to give the acting an 8.5 out of 10. Everybody did good, especially Colin Farrell. He's awesome in this film. Let's talk about the violence. I'm going to talk about the violence and the action in the film, because there's actually plenty of action in this film. The violence. There is a lot of blood in this film because, of course, it's a vampire flick. And I gotta say, it's pretty gory. There's parts where people explode. There's only a couple, really. There's parts where, I don't know, people's arms gets cut off. There's blood everywhere. It's not that violent. It's definitely rated R, but it's not that violent. So don't expect a hobo with a shotgun or something. You know, no one's freaking bones are separating from their bodies and being used as weapons or something. There's some bone here and there that you see, you know. But yeah, it's a violent film, just not that violent. There's some cool little gore scenes that I really like, but most of them is CG, which I don't care much for. Don't like when they use CG too much, and they use CG a lot in this film. Not saying CG is bad, which I'm not going to talk about because there's not really much CG. I'm not going to talk about it in its own category, that is, because there's not that much CG. It's only when they transform and their faces get all weird, and that's really it. And when there's blood flying out the screen, that too. So yeah, I thought the violence was really good, and also the action. The action is actually really cool. There's one shot in particular where they're driving in this car, and it's just a one shot. And many people talked about this before, and I gotta say I have to talk about it too, because it's actually a really impressive scene where the camera's just in the car and it's just going around like in a counterclockwise turn, and it's just you just see Jerry the vampire in a car just ramming this other car. It's actually a really cool scene. So I'm going to give the action and the violence together, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 also. Let's talk about the entertainment. I was thoroughly entertained with this film. Again, another film that I actually thought was very entertaining, very watchable, definitely worth your time. Go check it out, because from what I heard, it's definitely much better than Conan. I'm going to give the entertainment actually a 9 out of 10. So let's score this up. Alright, we gave it an 8 for the story, 8.5, an 8.5 and a 9. That should come out to, I'm going to do this math right here, ooh, a 34 out of 40. Definitely go check the film out. It's a very fun film. Definitely if you love violence and action and blood and stuff, and you like Colin Farrell, because he's great in this. There you go, there's my review. Sorry it wasn't the greatest review. I know it was very, I have a lot on my mind right now. So let's just get this review out and say Fright Night, it's a good film. Go check it out. Thank you and goodbye.